What is going on, guys? Today I'm here to break down another trade rumor involving the Philadelphia 76ers. No, it is not James Harden. No, it is not Damian Lillard. But I'm here to break down why the Sixers may have interest in Buddy Hield and how much legitimacy there is here. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to Sixers Digest. Before I get fully going here, I would like to recommend that you guys hit that subscribe button. Right now, just 91.4% of you watching this video have not subscribed yet. We want to get that number down a little bit, keep this channel growing. Got some big plans coming up for these Sixers seasons. I want to make sure everyone's along for the ride, and we will find out if Buddy Hield is a piece of the puzzle. So to dive into the report specifically from Charania of The Athletic here, we'll start with this one here. Quote, the Lakers were long rumored for Buddy Hield. You look at teams like Dallas, Philly, Milwaukee. Those are the types of teams that could definitely use a shooter like Buddy Hield. So not a specific reference that they're involved in talks. He did go a little bit more in depth. It certainly felt like the Sixers were a team in the mix, but it felt like this was much more from past conversations. As we all kind of know at this point, Buddy Hield is an all-time almost Sixer that we've seen him mentioned in trade rumors regarding the Sixers for several years now. So this should not be a massive surprise, but I do think it is worth bringing out, especially with the roster in a state of uncertainty in the way that it currently is. Now, with Buddy Hield specifically in this case, this was a previous report from Shams before the last quote is, after contract extensions negotiations stalled out, Buddy Hield and the Indiana Pacers have started dialogue to work on finding a potential trade, league sources say. So the interesting part here is it's very clear that Buddy Hield wants to get paid. I don't know if that is in the Sixers' best interest. We know all this about them focusing on clearing cap space and make sure they have cap space available for next offseason. As we enter this year, it will be the last year of James Harden's contract. It will be the last year of Tobias Harris's contract, and there will be plenty of money off the books for them to attack free agents in the way. I've already spoken my skepticism on why this plan will work, that, the chances of getting these primetime free agents to want to come to this Sixers organization and to Philadelphia, I don't think is quite the easy task as being made out to be by Daryl Morey. But I've kind of talked myself to, in this specific situation, that I would be interested in a Buddy Hield trade, even if it is a one-year rental. And there's two different variations of a trade that I think can kind of make sense. Number one, there's the stacking contracts, which would look something along the lines of PJ Tucker, Furkan Korkmaz, possibly Jaden Springer, and as many draft picks as they can scrape up. I don't love that deal. And this also is very dependent on how badly Indiana wants Buddy Hield out. If this is a broken relationship where he feels like he was wronged by the organization, I don't think it's anything as serious as that or as the Sixers are facing with James Harden. But if that is the case, I think an offer like that from the Sixers could be compelling and something they could talk themselves into. You would have to give up something of worth or something to catch their attention. If that is a Jaden Springer, they're still fairly in their rebuilding process. The Pacers are a team I expect to take a massive leap forward this year. Tyrese Halliburton is the real deal. I love Benedict Mathurin, and they got a couple other young talents that are very intriguing there. So I do think the Pacers are not a bottom of the barrel team. I think they're going to be a borderline playoff play-in team this year. So I don't know if they're going to be interested too much in the long term. And I also will say that above all of this, I think there's a chance that another team does stump the Sixers offer and just take them out of the running. A player of interest that I would mention is Tobias Harris. There has been some previous reported interest between the Pacers and Tobias Harris that they want help at that forward spot. They do have a rookie in Jarris Walker who's expected to most likely be the starter there, but I don't know if he's quite ready for that. He looked a little bit raw at Houston from my point of view, so I think he would be better off learning from a veteran. Nonetheless, with the young talent that is in that roster, that it would do some good to put a Tobias Harris-like veteran in that space. Now, the conversation here becomes, does it make sense for the Sixers for a Tobias Harris or Buddy Hield swap? For starters, I do think Tobias Harris is a better basketball player than Buddy Hield, that I think he does more on the floor. He is more well-rounded, and the fact that we are so close to the end of this contract is a little appealing to me. I would love to get that off the books just to free up some space. We've been so weighed down by that contract for several years now that it would be nice to kind of get out from those chains. But I don't think it's very much of an argument that Buddy Hield would be a much better fit on the Sixers than Tobias Harris. That I think it goes underrated just how good of a shooter Buddy Hield is, and that is what circles back to me why I'm interested in this from their point of view. And just to pull up his stats here, look at these three-point numbers. In his career, he's a 40.2% three-point shooter while launching 7.7 three-point attempts per game. That is a ridiculous combination of efficiency and volume. And he's coming off a season specifically with the Pacers where he shot 42.5% from beyond the three-point arc while launching 8.5 three-point attempts per game. He holds just about all the three-point records as far as since he's come in the league. He's hit more three-pointers than anyone, including Steph Curry, including all these superstars around the league. Buddy Hield is that dude. That combination of volume and efficiency is super, super hard to reach. And he's gotten better throughout his career. He's not just a shooter. He's a guy who's grown a little bit as a playmaker. He can create. He's not just a catch and shoot guy that he can shoot off the dribble. He can shoot off movement. He really can do it all. And when I kind of compare like where he would fit in these Sixers, think about the best versions of pairing Joel Embiid. I think about JJ Redick and Seth Curry are two of the guys that popped to my front of the brain as far as a two-man combination, a three-point shooter, a guy that spaced the floor for Embiid, and there was just a super dynamic two-man ability between those two. I think there's a chance that Buddy Hield works even better. And the biggest knock on Buddy Hield is on the defensive side of the floor. And I get it. I hear you. I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you guys and say that he's a good defender by any means. But what I will say is both Seth Curry and JJ Redick were incredibly below average also. And both those guys were specifically hunted on the defensive end. As much as Ben Simmons catches the blame for that Hawks series, maybe it was Kevin Huerter giving Seth Curry 25-plus points on a daily basis that really hurt us. Because I'll tell you, that was a much bigger issue than people wanted to give it credit. So Seth Curry was never that caliber of a defender that you would hope for. And also one of my, I guess, backbone points when it comes to these Sixers is I do genuinely believe a roster built around Joel Embiid will never be a below-average defensive team. That I think regardless of the other four perimeter defenders, and believe me, these Sixers have kind of put this to the test at times, that when you have a talent like Joel who can protect the rim at the rate that he does when he is locked in, and I want to see this locked in Joel more consistently this year, that the defense is going to be fine as a team. And the other pro towards Buddy in these category, at least he's real deal 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". He's got way more size on him than either Redick or Curry did. So I think he can shoot off movement in a similar way. I think they can do a two-man combination in a similar way. And the other thing to note is just how durable Buddy Hield is. I mean, when we talk about missing games, this guy has been in the NBA for 7 years and missed a total of just 6 games. And just look back at these stats. He's played 82 games twice, played 81 games in 21-22, played 80 games last year. So in 5 of the 7 seasons that he's been in the NBA, he's played 80 or more games. On a roster, which we've kind of been frustrated with some of the availability at times, that's super appealing to me. And the worst case scenario for this to me is it's just kind of a sign of fresh blood. I understand that there's a ton of uncertainty with James Harden still. We don't know how that's going to be resolved. And to be honest, that's why I don't think a deal ultimately happens, is I think Morey is going to refuse to kind of make any sort of commitment until he understands what the outlook with Harden is. And I understand that. I get where you're coming from with that. But I do think when there's a caliber of shooter like Buddy Hield on the market, that they should absolutely be trying to jump on it. That he is a perfect complement to what the Sixers are trying to do. And I really do think that he can be a key contributor on a championship roster. That I think throwing him around Joel Embiid is about as seamless of a fit as you can possibly get. He brings more to the table than people get him credit. He's continued to grow as a player, 30 years old, still has a couple years ahead of him. And even if you want to try this out for a year before you commit to a contract, I'm absolutely okay with that. That keeps the cap space plan open. If it costs you a little bit to make this trade, at least we're getting a different look Sixers team this season. We'll see how that plays out. We'll see if Buddy Hield is a part of it moving forward, and we'll cross that contractual bridge once we get there. So for me, I'm very on board with going for a Buddy Hield trade. I think he's better than the perception of him, especially on the offensive end. I think there's just more to him than people recognize, and I would love to see it more and up close in a Sixers uniform. We'll see if it ultimately happens. I think it's unlikely that it does, but I did want to bring this to your guys' attention. I appreciate you guys watching this video, tuning in, and hanging along with me. Thank you so much. Make sure to drop a like on the video, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on Buddy Hield as a whole, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching Sixers Digest, and I will talk with you next time. Peace.